topic will be for their research project. And what you're going to be doing is, number one, you're going to be writing a research paper. So I'm going to pass these around. And here's ceramics 2. Does everyone in ceramics 2 have a research guideline? At least can I just hand you these and throw them back there. So the due date on that is March. And I will put those on there. March 28th and the 30th are when you will be giving your presentations. That means your project has to be completed by then, completely fired. Both firings and your research paper has to be written. There are guidelines on that. It's not a long paper, 2 pages with sources. It's okay to double space, but I want you to cover your topic thoroughly. There are suggestions of a topic as a historical period, a time frame, or a method, or a specific ceramic artist, if you want to do a specific glaze type. So this hopefully will perk your interest in a topic if you don't have an idea yet. And what I would like you to do within the, I don't expect you to talk to me today, but by the end of next week, talk to me about your topic and run it by me. I want each of you to be clear in yourself and that it's a good topic and how to approach it, okay, for your research project. So it's a 3-facet project, right? Number 1 is the project itself. Number 2 is your paper, and number 3 is your presentation. We will be able to give presentations in here. I suggest you have your presentation on a flash drive rather than in your college computer account, because it just takes time. Since you haven't logged on to this computer, all of you, it takes too long for this computer to recognize you. So ideally you'll have a flash drive. You'll be able to just plug it in and give your presentation in PowerPoint form is perfect. But if you don't have access to that, or you don't want to put that time in, it's okay to do other visuals like charts, posters, whatever you would like to along that line. That is acceptable. Okay, are there questions about that? So 2 weeks before the presentation, that means in early March, I'll be putting out a sign-up sheet for you to sign up on which day you'll be presenting, so that not everybody's going to be presenting on Wednesday, okay? Everyone will be sitting and listening. It will be okay to do a little underglazing, but not construction, okay? So everybody's going to plan those 2 days to just be focused on presentations. They usually take about an hour to an hour and a half, and then you'll be free to work. Melissa.
You said presenting ceramic art, or what did you training as a coil pot?
Yes, your project, and there are project guidelines for that project in your syllabus. Your project, and does it say the guidelines on there too? Your project is a minimum of 8 inches. Okay, thanks. So your project is based on your topic. Yes, your project is this clear now, Melissa. You're going to be making a ceramic piece that reflects your project and your research.
So like you take something and make a piece where it
demonstrates your research. So if you're, for example, if your research topic is a specific glaze, you're going to be sure to get that glaze on your project, okay? And this is a separate project. It cannot be combined with any other project. It's its own project.
If you pick a ceramic artist as your topic, would you do your project on something that reflects one of their pieces?
Or their work in general.
Okay.
For example, and you'll see, if, when we get there, I'm going to give you an example, okay? So Are there any other questions about your research project, topic, etc.? Okay. So, ceramic history goes way back. And this is surprising, as early as 24,000 BC. I mean, we really think that's when human culture, organized human culture, just began. And already they were making ceramic pieces and, meaningful to them, okay? So, the first ceramic pieces that we know of were like religious or, meaningful in that way rather than utilitarian, which is interesting. Okay, now this would be a great topic. I had a student do a research project on ceramic, human forms, human figurines. Okay, so although pottery figurines are found in Europe, as we saw, the oldest pottery that is functional ware comes from East Asia. Okay, as far back as 20,000 BC. This particular piece is from this cave in China. I won't even try to pronounce that. Xianrendong Cave in this province of China 20,000 years ago. So obviously they aren't finding whole pots, but they found the shards, the pieces that they put together. Okay, so, and that is another topic. I mean, the replication of pots with shards, or if that interests you. The earliest pots were made by coiling method, which you now know. Wound to form shapes, that means smooth walls. Okay, this is early Mesopotamian pot. That is from the coil method. Very smooth and symmetrical. Now the potter's wheel was probably invented in 4th millennium BC, but spread across Asia, Eurasia, and Africa. Okay, you two in the front row, you need to turn around so you can see the screen. If that means moving your chair, that's okay. So these are two styles of the potter's wheel. And you can see that they had a point, they each had a point for turning and building. This is a topic idea. Okay, long history of ceramic art in almost all developed cultures. So I'm going to be giving you some examples of particular cultures. Now, in answer to Bailey's question, if she wanted to, like if you wanted to do Chinese ceramics as your topic, you would choose a pot that you like, that you admire, and you would not necessarily try to replicate it exactly, but the style, the form, the shape, the style, and the decoration. You would make your own. Make it your own, but in representation of your topic. Okay, is that clear to everyone? You definitely want to put your own creativity into it and your own style. So this is also China, the terracotta army, or terracotta warriors and horses. This is a bad photo, but it's a collection of life-size clay sculptures that represented the armies of the first emperor of China, okay? And he had these built to be buried with him to sort of protect him in the afterlife, right? But this is a great topic, and you can get some better photos, but many of them, of course, have deteriorated, but most of them have been preserved. And we're talking about not just one field, but an entire army of terracotta figures. Very fascinating. Okay, from Crete. Very delicately formed and curved. Okay, representative of the style of Crete. Greek, with the warriors on pasted on. Again, very curved and ornate. Close to each other, of course. Persia. This glaze is representative of some of the earliest glazes, and I'm going to be talking about glazes in just a minute, but notice how it's sort of bluish, and I'll show you when we get to Japan, we have some celadon glaze, which would be an excellent topic, although I don't have celadon glaze here. It's not difficult to get. So Persia with the horse, and again, the very sophisticated lines. Mayan, very down to earth, and of course, earthy colors. This looks like it was somewhat glazed or maybe even burnished. Burnished means rubbing the surface with a stone or a spoon, something hard, and rubbing the clay surface really hard to create a shine and a hardness in substitute of glaze. And so North and South American natives used the burnishing method to help finish their pots, and still do. The Southwest Pueblos, that's the tradition of their pottery, is to burnish it. It takes time, and it's beautiful. That would be an excellent topic. Japanese. Simple form, but elegant, beautiful, and definitely the glaze variations on there. Very thin. Korean, and this is celadon glaze, a specific type of glaze that's known in the Far East. Okay, very coveted, and the recipes for celadon glazes are protected, like they're secrets, in families, in individual artists, and in cultures. You can see they're incised and then glazed over. So who has been looking at some glazes? What glaze do we have that's could replicate that effect of filling in the recesses, the carved areas, to show them darker in color? Forest green would be perfect for that. Thank you, Melissa. Okay, so important is pottery to archaeology of cultures. Many cultures are known by their production of pottery. For example, the linear pottery culture. Some real intricate designs for 7,000 to 1800 BC. That's probably colored with slip. What is slip?
Watery clay.
It's watery clay. So it's probably a different color clay that was used for that. A different color for that clay, or whatever the base clay was. It looks like the base may have been darker, and they added a white colored slip over it. The beaker culture. Very basic in color, but more elaborate in texture. Corded ware, so looks like they maybe pressed corded ropes into their pottery. Again, basic color, but more texture. Funnel beaker culture, so a little of both. Little color variation and finer texture, little finer development of handles, and handles in relation to form. So see how this handle follows the line from the base coming up, follows the line and carries it toward the lip. Okay, so about glaze. The earliest evidence of glazed clay is, an example is glazed bricks in the temple in Persia, okay, dated to the 13th century BCE. So the glazed and colored bricks were used to make low reliefs in Mesopotamia. Now, what we think, all I could find with this is that these are an example of the glaze elements in the clay. And there's a term for it called, has anyone heard of Egyptian paste? Okay, that's a great topic. What Egyptian paste is, it's clay that has the elements of glaze in it. And when it's fired, the glaze comes to the surface and glazes the piece. Okay? So that's how glaze started. It was already in the clay, and when it got fired and heated up, it came to the surface. And it was blue at the time, so all these blues you see here are probably all an example. All the bricks back here that are bluish. The use of glazes applied to pottery began in Egypt as in 5,000 to 8,000 BC, so a little bit later, probably as a result of already in the clay, right, of Egyptian paste. And again, blue was the natural color of the glaze, and that's how glaze started. That would be a great topic. And decorating, probably oxide, staying on top of the glaze. Early pottery was porous earthenware, fired to low temperatures. Okay, many of you missed this on the quiz. The 3 types of pottery, basic types of pottery are what? Earthenware, stoneware, porcelain. Okay, so earthenware is low fired, and why would you expect that in the ancient cultures? Yeah, they mostly did pit firing, that is, had a pit and maybe built walls around. A lot of them in a lot of Native American cultures and still use the pit firing method, and that would be a great topic. So they use fuel to fire up to probably not past cone 06, which is our bisque firing, probably lower than that. Okay, so that takes us to porcelain. The first true porcelain in China in the 200s BC. And these are examples of the porcelain, the first porcelain pieces found. So why porcelain was so coveted is because it was so fine and without grit, and could be, that's why it was desired, that's why it was coveted, and was tried to, Europe tried to reproduce porcelain for a long time unsuccessfully. So it was expensive to import it, it was desired, and then attempts were made to produce it. These are topics, Medici porcelain in Florence, and this is soft paste porcelain though, so it was very fragile, it was very ornate, so obviously not to be used functionally, right? It was only decorative. No porcelain was successful until a recipe for hard paste porcelain was devised in Dresden, not till the 1700s. So within a few years, though, it took off, and there were factories springing up, often financed by the local ruler, and that's an example of the hard European porcelain. So, okay, from then on, Stoke-on-Trent North in England, Staffordshire emerged as a major center of pottery making. Okay, Wedgwood. This is an example of Wedgwood, and I believe this is Spode. So these are topics. Early English pottery production. Again, very decorative.
Aren't those like really expensive?
Yes, they're really expensive now. They're collectors.
Really?
You'll see these in museums, and this is very typical, the green and white and the blue and white as Wedgwood ceramics. English scenery, right? Oh, the English countryside scenery. Now later on, Bernard Leach established a style of pottery influenced by from the East and medieval English. So he used earthenware and turned to stoneware and began a trend of studio artistry, potters, studio potters. Okay, so they're artists working alone or in small group, and that is still applicable to today. You'll find studio potters. I'm a studio potter is what I do in my business outside of teaching. And so this is an example of Lucy Rye. Here are some other names in Britain is where the roots of studio pottery began. Bernard Leach, William Stade Murray, Dora Billington, Hans Cooper, and Lucy Rye. So all, I believe, used stoneware, very